Hey, 16 days left. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite movies. And today I'm going to do a movie review on千と千尋の神隠し, or in English, Spirited Away, which is an anime movie from Studio Ghibli, and it is written and directed by the maestro himself, Miyazaki Hayao. And this is one of the most popular and well-known anime movies of all times. I mean, Studio Ghibli is the defining anime movie studio. There are tons of classic anime movies that came out of this studio. My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, Mononoke Hime, Grave of the Fireflies, the list goes on. But the one that catches the most attention is Spirited Away, given that it won the Oscars for Best Animated Feature, and we all know that usually Disney would dominate that category. But in 2002, Spirited Away won Best Animated Feature, and this made a lot of Americans go like, oh, hold on, Japanese animations are a thing? What? So, yeah, this is, for a lot of people, their entry point into the world of anime. And for me, this anime has been quite important in my life as well. And I say quite because when I first watched this movie, Spirited Away, I was just a small kid, like 5, maybe 6, maybe 7, I don't know, but my mom used to have this movie on DVD, I think, and she would play this movie for me and other kids, and this movie would become a part of my childhood. But after I became a teenager, I never revisited this movie anymore because it's cartoon, and I never really thought about this again until recently when I got into anime again, and I realized that I should revisit this movie because I literally don't remember a single thing about it other than the main character being a girl. So I watched it yesterday again. It is technically a rewatch, even though it feels like a first watch for me. And wow, wow! I feel like I'm falling in love with animation all over again. This is beautiful. This movie is freaking beautiful. This is a movie about a girl named Chihiro who went to this abandoned playground ghost town place with her parents. Her parents were distracted by food. They eat the food and they turn into pigs. The sun set and ghosts, literally ghosts, started appearing in the ghost town. And Chihiro, the girl, was scared and she was told to live in that place for a while in order to save her parents. And I love this type of story. This type of story is really easy to get into. It's really accessible. Wandering into an unknown world, into a world full of spirits and ghosts and weird things, feeling like you are in a totally different universe, feeling lost, feeling scared, not knowing what's happening. This feeling is I think one of the most important and fundamental feelings you would have to ever feel when you were a child. Because when you were a child, when you were a kid, when I was a child, and I didn't know much about the world. Wherever I go, I feel like I'm exploring a new universe, meeting new people, seeing weird things, and it's always very frightening because I would always see new things and I wouldn't know how to do with them and how to deal with them. And that's basically what this movie feels like for me. Living in a new world, dealing with a new universe, adapting to a new environment, feeling lost, feeling scared, feeling like everything is new and alien, and it is ever so fascinating. It is childlike. This movie is filled to the brim with childish imaginations, but this is exactly what makes the film so fascinating, so compelling, so beautiful. And speaking of beautiful, this movie is visually stunning. Every single scene in this movie is bursting with amazing designs and beautiful color palettes. There are scenes, there are shots in this movie where it basically utilizes every single color from the spectrum, yet it arranges it in a way it doesn't look messy at all. The design is amazing. At some points I feel like I'm watching like Fantasia, because there are just so many weird things, like an old man with 6 arms, little black balls jumping around, throwing coal into a giant churning furnace, these bridges, these weird blobs of monsters and ghosts, and this old woman, the Yubaba, who becomes a crow and flies away. Like, it's so imaginative. It's one of the most creative animated movies, and creative movies full stop, I've ever seen in my life. It is just so full of creativity, and even if you ditch the plot, the visual style, the design of this world is just enough to take my attention. It's just so freaking great. It's a feast for the eyes. And this movie is also full of music, and usually I don't like it when movies are full of music, because music is a very powerful tool, and if you abuse it, it gets annoying. But I'll make an exception for Spirited Away. I'll make an exception. I'll make a big fat exception. Um, the music here is beautiful, it's touching, and it makes the world of this world more surreal and more dreamy, like you're in a dream world, and I really really love that. I mean, God, there's so many great scenes. That one shot where Haku was bringing Chihiro to see her parents who became pigs, and Haku was walking in the middle of the frame, and then at the side is just flowers just rushing by. Man, that must have taken a long time to animate, but that was beautiful. That was beautiful. And yeah, there are many scenes that takes place inside the giant building. That's just absolutely stunning again. Finally, I'd like to talk about the meaning of this movie. Some people overanalyze this movie and say it's a movie secretly about the sex traffic situation in Japan, which is a bit of a stretch, but some people also go into this movie thinking that it's just about what it's about on the surface and leave the movie kind of confused. I'm kind of in between. I think this movie is about Japanese work culture. I don't know why. Like, when I was watching the movie, I begin to make connections, like, you know, the Haku trying to tell Chihiro that she needs to get a job, and if she doesn't get a job, she's going to turn into an animal. And in Japan, now I'm not Japanese, I've never lived in Japan, I've been there, but I've never lived there. And I know that finding a job in Japan is a very, very stressful thing. And work in general is a very stressful thing that a lot of adolescents and teenagers feel really, really, really pressured to do. And then there are these black companies where essentially these young workers would be worked to death and not get paid fairly at all. And I feel like, to a degree, the world of Spirited Away is kind of like that. Everybody needs to get a job. If you don't get a job, you turn into an animal and you lose your individuality. Yubaba, the old woman who turns into a crow, basically controls everyone in the building, and she is kind of a villain at first, but then the more you watch it, the more you realize she isn't even a villain-ish character, and that is because she is the boss. And usually a boss of your company can be despisable, can be very bossy and controlling, but at the end of the day, the boss is just being the boss. The boss is just being a boss. And at the last leg of the movie, when Chihiro had to go to a rival place, because the Yubaba has Zeniba, who is her twin sister, it was almost like Chihiro going to a rival company. And so the relationship between these two places, Zeniba and Yubaba's place, are not like fighting each other. It's not like a war is happening. They're simply like rival companies. And at the very end of the movie, when Chihiro was told to leave and she can't look back, it's almost like the movie is telling us that after you quit a job, it's best to not look back and reminiscent the job and just move on with life, look for another job, or just move on simply. And again, the stinky monster scene where a stinky monster had to go to the big tub, and Chihiro was told to sort of deal with that stinky monster. That scene to me feels like a scene about dealing with bad customers in a job environment and feeling pressure to do it even as a newcomer. And Lin, the woman who always took Chihiro around, as well as the old man with 6 arms, are basically these senpai figures. And senpais, as in they are in an older generation than Chihiro, while Chihiro is the kohai. And again, these senpai characters are more powerful, they're more well known, and they are more familiar with the place, but they're still nice and they treat their kohais really, really well. So, in a sense, I feel like this movie is a dissection, a very imaginative and creative dissection of Japanese work culture. Or maybe I'm reading into it too much. I don't know, but I feel like this is about the work culture. And then we have No Face, which is this ghost who has a mask, and at first it's really creepy, but the more you read into it, the more you realize that this ghost is about loneliness. I feel like this ghost isn't supposed to be an evil character or a good character per se, but this ghost is lonely. He wants to hang out with someone. And in the beginning of the movie, the girl Chihiro treated this ghost, No Face, really, really nicely. And No Face wanted to return the favor by giving her gold, except Chihiro refuses it. And so this movie is also simultaneously about generosity and being nice and courageous, especially when, the dragon gave Chihiro the medicine, and instead of giving the medicine to her parents, she decided to give this medicine to Haku and the No Face monster. And it's not selfish. The movie is not about selflessness either. It's more about being generous and helping every single person in need, even if that person seemed like a harm to you at first. So, yeah, a lot to think about, a lot to like, visually stunning, and quite amazing. I'm giving Spirited Away a strong, 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 strong 9 out of 10. I really, really want to give it a 10 out of 10. I really, really, really do. But I'm giving this movie a 9 out of 10 for the same reason I'm giving No Country for Old Men a 9 out of 10. I love this movie. It is near flawless, don't get me wrong. But I feel like, for some reason, a small, small part of me feels like that a movie of equal caliber, a movie of the same kind, might deserve a 10 out of 10 more than Spirited Away. So I'm just going to leave it at a very, very, very strong 9 first. But still, already one of my favorite films of all times. That is undoubtedly true. And have you watched Spirited Away? From 1 to 10, would you rate it, like, and subscribe if you want more? And thanks for watching.